Hello, everyone. As you are hopping on, it is so good to see you tonight. And I just want to see some comments in the chat about where you're joining us from. I am so excited about our time together and just helping you to feel a little bit more aligned in your life, in your spirit, in your body, in the way your day-to-day looks, right? And so I love to see lots of activity happening in the chat. So I want to see where you are not calling from, but where you are clicking in to join. And hopefully you're able to comment in the chat as you're coming on and joining with the audio and video. But we are going to have a really powerful time together tonight. I am Amy Van Slambrook. I am a CEO, psychotherapist, and coach, and I had a successful executive career before becoming a full-time psychotherapist. And I have amassed about 35 years of experience in both business and psychotherapy and research. And I love it. Kiwi is here from Long Beach. Kiwi is the traveling woman these days and joining us from all over the United States. I think the last time was Alaska. Where else are people joining us from? I love to see where we are represented from across the globe. And so I have the great honor and privilege and blessing of being a therapist to very high profile CEO, entrepreneur women, and also couples. And I really help in the areas of healing and aligning yourself personally with what you have achieved in your business success. You know, so many times we are so focused on growing what we feel called to do and growing our vision and making sure that's successful and devoting so much of our time and our energy physically and spiritually and emotionally, and we end up growing this beautiful business. And yet when we look behind us at our personal lives, we realize so much got lost in the dust. Hi, Vi, great to see you from Naples, Florida. Can you relate to that? Is that something that you can relate to, that you've created a lot of business success, and yet maybe your personal life has not caught up to that? And so we're going to talk tonight about a lot of the things that you are feeling and experiencing now, and give that some context, because there's a certain amount of therapeutic value in having some knowledge and having some understanding, because otherwise we get so lost in the feelings. And when we do that, what happens? We isolate, right? And so I want you to just drop in the chat in one word or more, really, the words that come to mind, all of the things that you are feeling on the inside. And this is a really safe space, so I want you to know anything is really allowed. But let me know a little bit about, as you reflect back on the past week, what were the overriding emotions? What were the overriding states of feeling that seem to permeate your day to day? And I want to see some activity in the chat, because that's so important. Even by typing those into the chat, you are further helping yourself rid yourself of those feelings and start to bring those up into the surface, so they're things that we can actually deal with. We are in a tremendously turbulent time. I don't need to tell you that. You are feeling it day to day, right? Are you feeling that day to day? That we just don't know what's ahead. We know what's behind: stress and anxiety, frustration. I love that. We know what the last 2 years have been, right? And even though we sort of got used to wearing masks when we're out and about in public, the fact that it was so dynamic, it was changing so rapidly, right, has left all of us, you're not alone in feeling this, in a state of anxiety, of needing to be prepared, of needing to anticipate what might be coming next, of needing to sort of address and deal with the emotions that have compounded over time, and not to mention all of the things in your life that you entered into 2020 carrying, because none of us entered into that year without our own level of emotional baggage, right? Emotional baggage is just the human experience. I always say we are all walking around with our own set of Louis Vuitton luggage in terms of the baggage that we carry around. It's what we do with that baggage that makes a real difference. And so, first of all, admitting that that's there, that you have some things emotionally that maybe you haven't dealt with, because all of us do. No matter how much work I do as a therapist, there are always things that I can work on. And yet we want to have a certain level of emotional health. So you came into 2020 with some emotional baggage. Would you say that's right? And then 2020 hit, right? And all of the uncertainty and all of the newness and all of the panic, really, about having to wear masks, about feeling like there was this opponent that we were all trying to battle against, and kind of battling against each other because we didn't know who we could trust and who we couldn't trust. Are you relating to this? Yeah. And so I really want you to give some context to all that you have been through, to all that you have been navigating, and all that you have been able to get through, because you have just come through an enormously stressful time. And when you are running a business and when you are also trying to run a personal life, those things don't always run in tandem. You know, oftentimes we're trying to survive, and maybe you support people in your home or you have a team that you support as well. And trying to make sure that they have what they need means that you have to lead the business and you have to generate the income and you have to keep up the image on the surface. And yet behind the scenes, you still have had deep emotional needs. You've had to navigate all sorts of challenges. And so many of you lost dear family or friends during COVID. So many of you suffered tremendous loss, even personally, as you navigated shifts and changes in your own health, in your own mind, in your own emotional state. You are also dealing with team and employees and maybe children and family and friends who needed you to be the strong one, right? And yet at some point, we all get to reach the point where we are ready to say, you know what? I can't do this way any longer. And those are the times when we really know things are out of alignment. You know, alignment is one of those buzzwords, and it's kind of a popular term right now, you know, that we want to achieve alignment, right? What are the words that come to mind when you think of alignment? Just drop in the chat. What are those first few words when you think about what alignment looks like? And if you had alignment, what would that look like in your life? Balance, great. What are some other answers that come to mind? I want to see more of you in the chat. And I love, Vi, that you are engaging so much, because that's how we learn. That is how we learn. That is how we absorb things. And that's how we show up and be present. What are some other things that come to mind when you think about having alignment? What would that feel like in your life? Balance may come to mind. Peace may come to mind. Harmony. I love that. Order may come to mind. A calm sense may come to mind. Having passion and having a reserve of energy is also one of the outcomes of alignment. And yet we also have to be able to identify what misalignment looks like and what misalignment means in our lives and how we feel the signals inside of us, because everybody is different. Some people have more of a propensity to feel anxiety, or you'll feel like beneath the surface, you just can't slow down. It's sort of this kind of a feeling generating inside of you that you are constantly keyed up. You're like a hamster on a wheel all the time, right? And yet beneath that is an extreme level of exhaustion and fatigue. And there are others of you who feel it in the form of depression. You may feel totally out of energy. You have no passion left. You really feel like you have poured out everything that you can pour out, and you're tired, you know? And when we're feeling that sort of depression and that sort of flatness in our level of emotion, it's also really, really difficult to feel like we can at least uphold the image of our business, at least we can uphold the image of what we have created in the world, or at least we can uphold the image to our friends and family. But when you're upholding the image for that amount of time, your arms get tired. There's a heaviness with that. And there's also a sense of misalignment, when you just can't feel that peacefulness inside. You may not be at one of those ends of the spectrum in terms of the extreme, but you feel just like not quite yourself. Because truthfully, part of what the pandemic has done is it is sort of stirred up our very sense of our identity. Can anybody relate to that? I see Vi, who's wonderful in the chat, and I want to see more of you being present. Yes. What are some other things that give you the sense that you are just off internally? Your soul is off. Your body is off. We have been absorbing this stress for a long time, and we knew who we were before 2020 started. We don't even know when this is going to end, because it seems to take on a different shape and form, like an amoeba that keeps sort of morphing into some other creature. So our systems can't even stop and sort of form a new identity, because we don't have a solid ground underneath us, right? And it sounds like you disconnect with your creativity. I love that, Vi. Yes. And so I really want you to sit for a moment, because in all of this, the one thing that I know has been lacking for almost all of you is a moment of silence in your day-to-day. And you may be in physical quiet, but are you in an emotional quiet? Are you taking time to listen most deeply into your soul, into your spirit? If you have a relationship with God, into that divine voice inside of you. The issue with silence isn't so much that we don't have time for it, as much as it is we do not necessarily want to have time for it, because in the silence is when we face the reality of our lives. Silence is a mirror, and sometimes it can be horribly painful. And I know that I have gone through seasons in my life when I was so avoidant of silence. I just kept everything in constant high gear activity, right? When it was in my business, when it was in making an impact, when it was in social functions where I was giving back to the community, when it was going to this engagement and this event and talking with this friend and being there for this person, there was never a moment of time, except when I was exhausted at the end of the day, or maybe in the bleary morning hours when I was waking up or running, that I truly had silence. Because the moment I touched that silence was the moment that I touched the pain of the reality of my life, which had gotten to a really lonely and empty place. Because all I was doing was being on output. All I was doing. I wasn't in a state of being in my life. And if you all can relate to that in the chat, I want you to say yes. Yes, that state of being, and allowing ourselves to be in a state of being without doing takes a lot of risk. And right now, I want you to understand what's happening neurochemically for you, because when you have been in fight and flight, as long as you have been in fight or flight, it's almost impossible for your brain to feel safe being out of fight or flight unless we're implementing some of the tools that I'm going to talk to you about tonight. Your brain is always trying to keep you safe. And so it's scanning the environment and it's looking for where are the signs of danger. And especially right now, you may even find yourself walking around with wide eyes, kind of scanning things, even in stores that you normally feel very safe in. Whether you wear a mask or you don't wear a mask, we have become accustomed to having to be on the defensive when we're out and about in society. And so we're constantly in high alert, which brings up the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and it keeps your heart rate up, it keeps your blood pressure up, it keeps you focused on protection rather than invitation. And it keeps you focused on the noise around you rather than the quiet that you need within you. And yet the only way that you are going to be able to navigate what is an ongoing pandemic or endemic or whatever is happening in the war situation or economically is for you to start to boldly take steps to change the way in which you are engaging with your spirit and with your body. And so in our brief time tonight, I want you to really, really sit for a moment, and I want you to listen in to your spirit. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and while I am playing that, I want you to, wherever you are, if it's safe, if you're not driving, I want you to take a moment and I want you to just listen in to what comes up in your spirit as you are being in silence. I want you to put your hand over your heart and just close your eyes, and I want you to listen to your spirit. I want you to breathe in, and I want you to just exhale. I want you to listen to what your heart is telling you right now. What do you need right now? What are you feeling right now? What is the next right step for you? What is the biggest question in your mind right now? And as you inhale deeply, what is the answer that you need right now? What is God's answer to that question? I want you to take a deep cleansing breath all the way down into your diaphragm and exhale through your mouth slowly. What do you need right now? What is out of alignment for you right now? What do you need to pay attention to right now that you're avoiding? And just breathe in exhale. And as you're sitting with your hand on your heart, I want you to just take in these words. You are safe and you are loved right in this moment. God will put all of the answers to your questions inside of you. You aren't expected to do all of this alone. You aren't expected to have all of the answers trying to figure it out by yourself. It isn't through your doing that you will get the answers, but it is through listening in moments of silence like this. It's in loving yourself in moments of silence like this. It's in pausing just for a moment to listen. Any part of you that is resistant to the silence gets to be embraced. Thank that part of you for trying to keep you safe, and remind that part of you that you are safe right now. You don't need that part of you to keep you in a hurry. You are safe to be at rest. I want you to take a deep inhale. And I want you to exhale through your mouth. And breathe in, saying to yourself, I am loved. I am divinely provided for. I am safe. And I am well right in this moment. And as the music fades out, I just want you to take some deep cleansing breaths. And I want you to just sit with yourself for about 30 seconds. And just breathe. And then slowly open your eyes. And as you feel comfortable, I want you to share in the chat what things came up for you. And it would be even great if you have something to write with, that you can write down what came to you. Because what we just did was something we do far too rarely in this day and age. We calmed your central nervous system. We allowed you to drop down out of fight or flight, out of busyness and hustle, and back into peace. And when you are in this state, put in the chat if you started to feel a sense of alignment. or at least you felt like things were a little bit more spacious than they felt like when you entered our space tonight. Yeah. Peace and light. I love that, Kiwi. Yes. You know, right now, and honestly, in a lot of entrepreneurship and in a lot of our day-to-day life, even if you're in the corporate realm, we do not make space for moments like we just had. Yeah, you felt yourself relax and slow down. Our minds are going at such a pace in order to keep up with all of the stimuli and in order to be in that kind of warrior state that we do not take time, right? If you were in a battlefield, you would not take time to do what we just did. And what we get to do is teach our nervous systems that it's okay right now. In fact, it's critical that you start to incorporate more of these sorts of moments into your day to day, because without them, you will not be able to weather the trajectory of what is coming, because we don't know. That's the truth. That the truth of the matter is you have full control over how you show up and how you prepare yourself. And a lot of that is about putting yourself and your life back into alignment. You know, when we are out of alignment, we feel things like we do not feel any passion for what we do. You feel a level of burnout and exhaustion. You are numb to a lot of your emotions, because in a healthy situation, you know, we feel at a certain level, but when we're out of alignment, we either feel things way too much and we're reacting out of proportion for what is happening, or we feel numb, right? And so that's another indication that things are out of alignment. We get cynical, right? And I don't know if you've caught yourself doing this, but I know at moments I've felt cynical, and I try to really safeguard against that, because that's a true sign of burnout. You know, there's a physical level of exhaustion and not being able to exercise or be as active as you were in the past. That's a sign of being out of alignment. You know, when you feel that sort of constant worry, even if you're lying down at night and having a hard time sleeping, that's a sign that things are out of alignment. You know, when you do not feel at home in your personal life, or you are constantly avoiding your personal life, that is an indicator of being out of alignment. You know, the other piece of that is also when you look at your relationships and you look at a lot of the feelings that you maybe have stuffed. And we know that we stuff feelings, you know, when they start to bubble up, we get angry way too quickly. Little things tend to become big things, and big things are minimized as little things. Our digestion is off. We have headaches. We have depression. We have sleeplessness, or you sleep way too much. You know, there's a listlessness about the way that you're feeling physically. You might have flare-ups of autoimmune issues. All of those things are indicators that we are out of alignment. It's also an indicator if you are just focused on totally being happy 1,000% of the time, and you cannot feel the broad spectrum of emotions. In fact, you don't want anything to do with any sadness or anything that might be classified as negative. You know, the true testament to somebody who is resilient and strong and truly an optimist is someone who can deal with the range of emotions. You feel the sadness, you let yourself mourn appropriately, and you don't bottle it up inside, because you know that you have the skills to overcome it, and that eventually you'll start to feel stronger and better again. But God didn't create you just to feel a certain limited number of emotions. And we're not created to just be human doings. We're created to be human beings. And so as you took inventory of which of those areas of your life feel most out of alignment, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, or relationally, what feels out of alignment to you? Just drop it into the chat. And, you know, I think it's really important for you to start to identify that and choose one that feels like it's the most intense. And that's the one that you want to focus on. I know that your brain wants to focus on everything at once, because when we're in the middle of this kind of prolonged stress, we have what's called simultaneous thinking. A lot of times we think so many of the same things at once, and they all crowd our brains saying, I have to be dealt with first. I'm the emergent one, right? Everything feels urgent. And it's literally something that's happening in your frontal lobe. So you get to reorder that, and you get to give your brain the benefit of saying, you know what? I'm going to make note of those things, but I don't have to focus on everything all at once. So I'm going to focus on just the thing that feels most critical. We know that we're focused on the right things when they are both important to the long-term goal and they are urgent in the need to do them quickly. And so I want you to jot down for yourself, what is the area that you know in your spirit when you are in that moment of silence that you need to attend to? And I want you to just start to breathe into that and give yourself permission to have that be the one focus for the next even 14 days. You know, the other thing we have difficulty with is longer range planning. It's really hard to do that right now. So give yourself 2 weeks and apply some kind of an action goal, not an outcome goal. An action goal is more about how we behave. It's how we do life day to day. So whether it's sleep or whether it's about your spiritual health, you know, an action goal would be, I spend time in silence and meditation every single day. It's not an outcome that suddenly I will become this amazing, you know, person who can sit in 2 hours of silence and prayer and meditation. No, it's an action. It's something that you can do every day, and you can feel that level of success. And that's an important piece of things, to feel that level of success. If it's in your relationship, maybe it's, you know, I demonstrate love and connection with the person who's closest to me every single day. I make time for that. Because if it's one thing that I know, it's that we cannot wait to plan our personal lives around our business lives. We have to plan our personal lives first. And so you need to start to block time for this particular area of focus, and everything else gets to fit around that. And believe me, you will figure out a way to get everything done in a smaller amount of time, but you have to put that on the priority list first. Otherwise, your business and professional life will always run the show. Believe me, I've lived it. I lived through some intense bouts of burnout when I was in my corporate career, and also as a therapist. And so I have a lot of experience with this personally. I know how it's not done well, and I know how to do it well. And I want to guide you to the point of doing it well this time. The other thing that I want you to start to think about incorporating are some basic fundamental building blocks of wellness. You know, I am a firm believer that we want to take on a natural approach to our health if and when at all possible. There are times, of course, for, you know, prescribed solutions, and there is definitely a place for that. But as we're following up with you, we're going to be sending you a link for somewhere that I find really excellent quality health and wellness products. And that is something that I am, you know, partnered with, because it's really important to me that I offer the full spectrum of the fundamental building blocks of your emotional and relational and spiritual well-being. And so having those sorts of things to support your system, whether it's through collagen, whether it's through vitamins, whether it's through, you know, making sure that you have proper care of your home, all of those things are a part of having that fundamental building block. The other thing that I've found tremendously helpful for people is sound frequency healing. And I wrote a program for a sound frequency healing app. And so we're going to include a special link for a special rate for that as well. And these are all gifts with special rates for you to try or not try, but they're at least a starting place. And sound frequency is something that actually helps your brain. It's a physical healing modality. It isn't a woo-woo kind of thing. And it really can be playing in the background, but it helps to heal your brain. And it's like a spa for your brain and your mind and your body. You know, the other practice that I really, really want to emphasize is that no matter what your goal is in terms of alignment, the way to stay in connection with your soul and into that deep heart space is to have even 5 minutes of silence every single day. And that will help no matter what your goal is, because you're listening in to your spirit, you're listening in to God's voice inside of you, and you're really connecting in with that piece of you. The other tool I want to give you that's a fundamental building block is proper nutrition, proper exercise and movement. It doesn't mean you have to become an Ironman. It just means that you have to move your body, you know, and you have to pay attention to what you're ingesting, because all of those things bubble up into how you're feeling emotionally, how you weather the stress, and how much in alignment you feel. Literally, a poor nutritional diet can make you feel out of alignment. And often we go to those comfort foods, right? And so having that kind of building block as a fundamental piece of maintaining your alignment is critical. The other thing is proper support. And so as we're closing out our time together, I want to offer you the chance to have a consultation call with me, because having the kind of generous and dedicated one-on-one support that I offer to a select group of high-profile women who are leaders, who are CEOs, who are entrepreneurs, is something that I am delighted to bring forth. I have a very limited number of spots in one-on-one work that I do, and it is such a passion of my heart to have you feel that level of support for you. And so connect with me for a breakthrough call, and there will be an opportunity to do that in the follow-up email to our time tonight, so that you can actually start to feel that level of support and that level of insight and that level of healing that happens at a deep level, but in a very directive level and an expeditious level, so that you can start to feel more like you again, and in a way that you never have before. Let's be honest, because I know that a lot of these things have been lingering for a long, long time. And so I want you to just reach out for that. And if my offering of the sanctuary, which is my private one-on-one service, isn't right for you, we can talk about other options. The point is that you've taken the step. It has been my great pleasure to be with you this evening. I really, really hope that this served you, and I look forward to serving you more in the future. You will each receive a replay of this, and I hope that it's of service as you watch it over and over again. And I really do hope to hear from you. We'll be doing another masterclass next month where we'll be talking more about how to get in alignment. But I really, really want to encourage you, don't try to do this alone, and don't try to do it from a point of survival. And thank you so much, Kibi, and everyone who are here tonight, and all of you in the chat. And I really look forward to hearing from you more. But reach out. I am here. My team is here, and we have lots of ways that we can support you during this time. And for now, I bid you a very restful and peaceful and aligned evening. You just have to take the first step. You just have to take the first step. And that first step is one of getting the support that you need and deserve. I'm sending so much love, and I just wish you a good evening. Have a great night, everyone.